Hello all! How is it going, everybody? Resi Orenji here is y'all's favorite music-loving catboy, back with yet another music talk stream. I hope y'all have been having a good week. It's been, I don't know, kind of a weird week weather-wise up here in New York City. Apparently, it's right in that middle sweet zone between it being cold still at night and the sun coming around. There was a day this week where it was like 80 fucking degrees, and I was pleasantly surprised because it was one of those days where I was going to the gym and whatever. So I had a nice walk over there on on my way to the gym, but I wish I get frustrated whenever we're in one of those whenever we're in one of those weird weather weeks where it's like like a few like how to say, it's like one completely different climate one day from another, and it's like I wish there was a bit more predictability, but whatever, it's fine. I just keep living in New York City. But we're not here to talk about weather. We're here to talk about music. And to that end, I've still been playing a bunch of Yarg. I've actually been getting a bit into Avenged Sevenfold recently. Like you might see from the thumbnail, I've been digging a few of the tracks from City of Evil, because there's a lot of Avenged Sevenfold customs that people have made through the years for Rock Band 3, custom songs for that game, for Clone Hero, for a bunch of other different platforms that I'm trying out now on Yarg, and it's it's really fun. It's definitely very fun, very engaging music. A lot of the stuff they made, at least in the earlier days. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really bothered with a lot of their their later stuff, downloading that. But yeah, no, Avenged Sevenfold, pretty damn cool band. I wish that I'd honestly listened to them a bit more beyond the stuff that was just put on Rock Band and Guitar Hero back in the day. Other than that, though, I've been hard at work trying to get the deep dive in some sort of shape. Right now, I'm currently on the second section of that part, and I've been chipping away at that, trying to download the audio visual resources at work where I can, and I want to say I'm halfway through it right now. I'm trying. Ideally, I want to try to be done with that section by the end of tomorrow, but we'll see. It's all a work in progress, and I'm happy with where I am right now. But the ideal is to be done with this all by mid-April. So fingers crossed, we will get there. But anyways, enough preamble. Today's guest, yet again, plunging into the depths of blue sky, I have discovered this guy, and he seems pretty chill. He's, as I say in the description, he's the first VTuber, oddly enough, that I've come across with a Bandcamp link to a bunch of albums he's got on there, and I'm quite curious to probe him about that, about a few other things though. It's always neat talking with a VTuber music creator, because you never know exactly what you're gonna get. A lot of people obviously are influenced by K-pop and electronic music coming into this space, because I feel like those are just not K-pop, J-pop and electronic music. I feel like those two genres really go hand in hand with weeb VTuber culture, if that makes sense. I can't give an academic explanation as to why I think that, but it just just anecdotally, it feels like those three things are very intertwined. But without further ado, let's welcome in our guests for today. Would you all please welcome Digital Bluez to the stream?
Hello there. It's nice to meet you, and thank you for having me on board, Resi. I really appreciate this.
Good to meet you, man. I'm happy to have you on. Hopefully, I'm not catching you at too late an hour. I assume you're relatively in a decent time zone to where I am.
EST time zone for the win, to be honest.
Hey, there you go, man. Okay, so usually I like Hey, Supergirl, welcome to the stream. Or Super Geary, is that? I can't see. The YouTube text is a bit weird. Yeah, it is Supergirl.
Oh wait, I know her. Yeah, she's from my side of the community. Hi there.
Welcome,
Thank you for stopping
welcome
by and
in,
checking this
welcome,
gentleman out.
welcome. So usually I like to start these streams off, giving the floor to my guest. I like to ask them, like, what sparked their passion for music? Because it is, like, it's one thing to sort of casually listen to music in your day-to-day life, just sort of take inspiration from that casually, but it's another thing entirely to, theme yourself off of, like, AI sound waves and put out stuff on Bandcamp. So, like, how did that sort of start for you?
To be honest, my whole shtick about like making music as an AI VTuber actually kind of came from like I want to say a dead idea that I wanted to propose to like a former band of mine about a decade or so ago.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so halfway during through like my second year of college, I realized, wait, I still like making music. And listening to people like Gorillaz, for example, I realized that this was like a band project of sort where like everybody's animated, they still produce music at the same time, and I was like,
Yeah.
in college I was still like studying animation and whatnot, so I thought, okay, I could probably propose this idea to the people that I was in a band with at the time.
Oh,
But
hell yeah.
it became clear to me that everybody wanted to pursue like their own passion in life, so eventually I kind of just discarded the idea. But then at the same time, the idea itself was too good of an idea to just pass up, so inevitably I decided to just take this up all on my own.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the VTubers, you could probably make an argument for saying that, artists like the Gorillaz or Hatsune Miku were like some of the first virtual YouTubers virtual performers at the very least. They laid the groundwork for a lot of what we're doing today in the VTuber space. And I'm just kind of like related to that. I'm kind of curious to know, like, how did you get started as a musician? I might be wrong in assuming that you're into like more electronic or like J-pop type stuff, because you said you had a band, right? So like, what kind of started your musical journey there?
I want to say it started all the way back in roughly around 2011 when my parents wanted me to like pursue music
Okay.
at first starting out as like a hobby, but then it eventually, for me at least, I wanted to like develop that into something that I can use to forge a career path of sorts.
Very neat. Yeah.
We did listen, the band that I was in, we kind of listened to like a lot of like the alternative stuff, like Linkin
Okay.
Park. We also listened to like a lot of like what was the band called? All Time Low, stuff like that.
Nice.
And at that time, I think I was filling at least two different positions. Like I was the bassist and the vocalist at the time, so uh, majority of the music lessons that I took at the time were focused on that.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
okay.
the lessons themselves got too expensive, so I kind of had to cut that short when I graduated.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Music lessons are definitely a luxury. I haven't taken any fucking lessons since college. I used to, what was it? Back when I was starting off on drums, I took like rock lessons in my hometown. Thankfully, my mom was paying for those. But when I went to college, and suddenly those were like relying on tuition, and then even beyond that, graduating and having to be on your own as a musician, you don't exactly have the easy luxury of subscribing to lessons with somebody and trying to improve.
That's always the struggle, unfortunately. Just being like your own self-made musician and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try, like, practice is something that I've struggled consistently with. I have my own electronic drum kit in the apartment that I like to practice on every now and then. I've tried setting up sort of like a by what's the word for like once like 2 days. Is that bi-daily? Bi-daily isn't a word. But
No,
like
but I
every
can kind of
two,
pick up on what you're talking about.
yeah, I've tried like every 2 days or so to every other day or so to pick up the drums and try 30 minutes of like rudiments and other sorts of warm-ups. But it is a struggle because currently both of the bands that I'm in are not inactive per se, but just like we're in a really weird spot where we're trying to get music out, but we're also trying to look for gigs, but we're also all busy people with our own lives, and so it's hard for us to like really sit down and like nail down plans. It's difficult.
I imagine it's much more difficult especially when you said you're like in 2 bands. You said
Yeah.
so coordination must be very hard to like nail down for like the time between the two of them, I suppose.
Well, between that and also just like all the stuff that I do in my for my IRL job, and also with my VTubing, it's a lot of hats to manage. Also, welcome Dory Dreamweaver and Cold in the Shade. Good to see you guys. Welcome to the stream. Are those also some of your followers?
Dory, I recognize almost instantly. She is also a friend of mine in the VTuber community. How you doing, Dory?
Welcome. And Cold in the Shade, actually, come to think of that's probably a pun on Kiss's Hot in the Shade. I've covered Kiss a bit on my channel.
Oh, I just took that in. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, no, I've done a few documentaries on Kiss in the past. I get requests, every now and then to keep on making, deep dives into them, but I can't give everything away. I've made that particular request a 10K, subscriber goal for me to continue doing Kiss stuff. Big fan of Digi. I can understand. He seems like a chill guy. My PFP is a joke on it too. Oh, I see. Ah, neat. So I guess kind of going on from that, which instruments would you like to learn if you had the spare time? Obviously, you play the bass. Do you want to like learn more rhythm instruments, or do you want to get better with like melodies or?
I think, were it up to me, had I not decided to go on the bass, I would have loved to have been a drummer.
Oh, very neat. Yeah, no, drums is a fun instrument. I'm glad to have. I've been at it for like almost 15 years at this point. Very, very fun once you get the hand-eye coordination down. He's very kind. Though I also assume that there's a lot of work involved with hand-eye coordination with bass and guitar. At least in my experience, I feel like it's harder to get a grip on those sorts of tonal instruments because there's a lot more dexterity involved with your fingers than, well, not more necessarily, but it's a different sort of dexterity. I feel like, sort of managing like 4 different limbs across a drum kit. That's something I'm willing to do.
Yeah, when I first started out playing bass, actually, I didn't realize it would take a lot of finger strength just to like slide my finger across the neck or like hit one specific note. And then I would look at my fingers later on. I'm like, why are my fingers bleeding? Oh, because I was practicing today.
Oh, and especially with fucking bass, with how long the instrument is, I assume there's just like a lot more to get your hand around there.
I mean, it also doesn't help that I'm a klutz, so
I'll
either swing the neck in a direction I'm not supposed to and knock over something, or I like pinch my hand in between like another object and the neck itself. It hurts.
Oh god, that's never fun. Ouch. Come on, say trombone. Oh, I've never learned the trombone myself, but I have always been fascinated with, the whole notion of a slide instrument like that. It always reminds me of like, those jokey sort of slide whistles you get at like a novelty store. I love those.
Oh my! I never got to own one, but but they're so fun to like make an like a beat out of sometimes.
Oh my god. Have you done that? Have you like sampled a slide whistle on one of your songs? That'd be fun.
I've tried, but it never ever seems to like come out right whenever whatever I do. It's a work in progress, but I'll nail it one day.
You got to get all those goofy sounds in there. You got to get fuck the or whatever else whatever else was whatever else they put in, you know, classic 30s 40s Looney Tunes.
That is surprisingly that is a hard like tone of music to replicate in this day and age. At least with the equipment that I have right now.
Yeah. As a guitarist, I played bass once and it seemed really easy, probably because, well, yeah, there's definitely a lot of overlap between the guitar and the bass. I feel that, you know, it's easier at a bass line, pun not intended, to get into bass because, you know, there's a lot less focus on like chords and scales and all that, and really just, you know, playing the root and accompanying the rhythm section. I mean, granted, you can easily get into, you know, virtuosic, you know, bass territory by trying to expand and like learn the difference between playing with fingers and a pick and like doing the same sort of ridiculous guitar scales on the bass neck. And look up Billy Sheehan for more information on that. But like, I definitely feel like the ground floor is lower to get into bass than it is to get into guitar. I could be entirely off there.
It's been years since I even picked up my bass because
unfortunately
the pickups on that thing have like rusted, so I could no longer play even if I wanted to.
That's unfortunate. So I guess you've kind of rusted yourself skill-wise over the years?
About 11 years or so out of practice, I would say.
Eesh. My sympathies. Let's see. So now you're a music composer primarily through electronic DAWs, is that right?
Correct. My DAW of choice is Image Line Fruity Loop Studio, which, for those of you who don't know, is also the same DOS that was used by Toby Fox when he made the Undertale soundtrack back in 2016, I think it was. I forgot when the game came out.
That's neat. I always respect, you know, the people who are able to make like, you know, tremendous compositions out of those DAWs. I only use like Reaper for basic shit, like trying to, you know, at a bass level, like mix vocals for like vocal covers, or like I use my electronic drums sometimes. I plug in with my MIDI and I record through that, but you know, I hardly venture beyond that. You know, the whole world of VSTs is an intimidating one for me. So I'm kind of curious to know, like, what is your process when it comes to like music composition? Would you say, do you have like any particular method for sparking and for inspiration? You like to go in with a plan or mess around with something until you have, you know, something that works? Like, what's your approach?
I would say honestly, it would be the latter. Because I'll be honest with everybody in chat and like even with you, Rezi, I typically do not actually have a plan or like any sort of battle plan whenever I like just try to like compose something original.
It's fair, yeah.
Because I'm not the kind of person who tries to plan out something. If I hear something like while I'm out on a walk, or like if I'm just doing something like something as simple as grocery shopping, if I hear something that sounds really cool, I try to keep that one particular sound repeating in my head over and over again until I can get home and try to replicate that in FL Studio.
I do like that approach. You know, it's so. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, 70% of the time though, I instantly forget it, and that's just me with a terrible memory.
Well, that's understandable. I really do like that, though. It reminds me sort of John Cage's whole aleatoric approach of just like letting random noises in nature like come in and influence the composition. That's really neat. Are you also do you know much about like jazz improv? When you played the bass, did you ever you get any opportunity to learn jazz theory or do improvisation in that way, or?
Um, I think my final lesson, well, before I had to inevitably cancel out, was we were going to touch up
Yeah.
on jazz, but again, it had to be cut short because of like how expensive it was.
Yeah.
'Cause there was no way I could afford like $1,200 a month for
Right,
lessons,
right.
man.
No, that makes sense. I'm just curious. I was just wondering because I found personally that being a very being a musician that sort of came up through like jazz improv and jazz theory in college. I've really very much been myself. Like I don't know. It's hard for me to. I hardly. The very few times that I've tried my hand at, writing my own music, it's usually because I have an idea sort of spring to mind and I try to get it down as best I can, either in like a notes app, lyrics sort of jot down, or I just, like you do. I try to, hum it into, I try to burn it into my brain through humming it or whatever. There are still a few
Yeah.
ideas I have. There's still a few ideas that I have swimming around up there that I just haven't translated to GarageBand yet, unfortunately.
I mean, if you're willing to put up with the humiliation of people looking at you and wondering why you're humming something to yourself, I would say it's worth it.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Just everybody
true.
staring at you, be like, "What is this idiot doing?" I've had that happen
Golden-
like twice.
Oh, yeah. Golden the Shade was wondering what amp you used, but I guess, I don't know, it's been a long time. Do you remember?
Come to think of it, I don't even know where I kept the amp anymore. Ever since my
Oh,
pickups
yeah.
like died on it, we kind of just like kept everything away in like a personal storage unit, so I couldn't remember even if I tried.
Yeah. Now, see, whenever people talk amps, I just sort of, my brain goes to static because as much as I appreciate, playing with guitarists and bassists, I do not speak their language whatsoever. That I get in a room with bassists and guitarists talking about their chains and their pedals and their and how they route effects through their and I'm just like, what? I tune my drums and I'm fine with that. Better looking like a maniac than being forgetful. I guess that's true. Let me see. So I guess correct me with if I'm wrong. You did send me a bunch of artists that you enjoy prior to stream, and from what I could tell, a lot of them seem to be electronic acts, J-rock acts. Unfortunately, some of them didn't have Wikipedia pages, so I wasn't able to dive that much deeper into them. But I guess, like, how have your tastes sort of shaped how you approach your music?
Let's see. Off the top of my head, the two first that I mentioned to you, the Fat Rat and Hyper Potions, for example, they were the
Oh,
ones
yeah.
that helped me realize that not all electronic music has to sound so harsh, epic, or like even just like brooding almost. Because these two artists in particular that I know, a lot of the stuff that they've made actually are much more pleasant to the ears. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
know other subgenres of like electronic music existed until I looked into like most of them.
Oh yeah, no, I can agree with you. There's a lot of electronic music out there that sounds heavy and more not serious, but more intense than it needs to be. And I definitely do enjoy that chill sort of composition there. Not that I'm that knowledgeable on EDM in general. I just sort of absorb through osmosis what's on the charts or what's bumping on social media or whatever.
Well, I mean, like, imagine my surprise when I learned that the subgenre of electro swing existed, and I was like, "Really?
Oh,
This is
yeah.
a thing?"
Electro swing.
Wow, I didn't
yeah,
know that.
I remember hearing about that. Geez, that's an old genre at this point. Like it was around back in the 2010s, wasn't it? Or has it been around for a bit before that? I don't know. I remember it like popping off in the fucking 2010s around the time, you know, like steam powered giraffe and steampunk and all those sorts of like monocle aesthetic cultural flashpoints were popping up. It's like Cold in the Shade's also curious what bass you had.
Though I don't remember the model type, I do remember the brand name. It was an Ibanez, and it was a sleek blue kind of color, which I guess kind of inevitably predicted how it would turn out to be for like my online username and whatnot.
Hey, blue's an incredible color for an instrument, I think. My one of my bands, we've borrowed a bass from like this friend of ours who it's like this beautiful blue bass, and like right on the body they've slapped a sticker of like the sprite of Claire, the dragon trainer from Pokemon Gen 2, along with a Kingdra, and we call the bass Claire. It's dope.
Oh, that's cool. I kind of wish I did that with my bass, to be honest.
I love naming instruments. It gives you that much more of a personal connection with it. Unfortunately, me being a drummer, it's kind of feels weird to name like a drum set, because you know it's made of all these different pieces and parts, whereas you know with a guitar it's just like the one thing.
I imagine as a drummer you might end up breaking like a snare or two in your day.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm very fortunate in the fact that like most of the pieces in the drum kit that I own, you know, either the parts that I have up here in New York City or back in my parents' place, most of them are still intact. Like I think I broke a I've busted a few heads absolutely at certain points, but I've only broken like one cymbal that I had to replace. Technically, I do have another cracked cymbal right now, but that's one of the hi-hats that I like to place at the bottom, so it doesn't really matter. Electric blue or nuclear blue? I think it was like a blue electric, but I could be wrong.
I think mine was also electric blue. I can't remember. I'd have to look through older like photos of myself just to see it. If I could stomach looking at older photos of me.
Retweet. Yeah, I guess circling back to your tastes, where do you typically like to go to listen to new music? Are you like a streaming guy, or do you primarily use YouTube?
Honestly, I actually discovered well, it's a combination of a lot of things. I actually discovered the Fat Rat, Hyper Potions, and a lot of the other artists through YouTube as it was recommended to me. I think I just kind of like came across like a random like EDM playlist one day, and I thought, wow, this stuff actually doesn't sound that bad. Wait, this is electronic? That was like my initial like reaction. Other sites that I went to for music at the time also came from like a little known underground artist website called Newgrounds. I don't know if anybody in the chat might have heard of them. There are at least two artists in there that I've been following.
That's awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
It was back in 2008 since I've been following them.
Yeah. No, it's I love the well, not just new, though it's been ages since I've been on Newgrounds. I'm sure they've still got a bunch of cool arts bumping. I mean, what was it? Friday Night Funkin', when that blew up, that was still a Newgrounds thing, right? And that was only like 5 years ago.
Roughly 5 years ago, yeah, actually.
Yeah. And like fucking, I don't know, the YouTube algorithm, I have loved that. I love whenever it turns you on to something that you otherwise would have never thought to explore, but it's just like the coolest fucking thing. Like, I don't know if you were, I don't know how engaged you are back when like there was this point where like the YouTube algorithm was so heavily pushing like city pop and Japanese jazz fusion, but I completely fell down that fucking rabbit hole like a decade ago. And I love like artists like Tatsuro Yamashita, Maria Takeuchi, and of course Cassiopeia. Like Mint Jams, that album is my fucking shit.
That's a good choice, actually.
Hell yeah. My dad has a cool drum set where you can see through it. Oh my gosh, that sounds cool. I wish I had like one of those sort of, well, all drums are hollow, but like, yeah, obviously that hollow sort of see-through effect. I love when instruments have that. What else? Kind of going on from, I guess, art. Speaking of art, you're also an artist yourself, right?
Yes, actually. Ever since 2011, I am both an
Oh,
artist. I
neat.
am also I'm a music producer. My own video editor. I'm my own graphic artist. All that stuff.
Jack of all trades. That's awesome. So I'm kind of curious to know, like, if any of those arts have ever sort of like intersected with your music production in any way. Like, is there any sort of influence between like all your creative endeavors?
Unless I ever actually need like an album cover or like even a YouTube thumbnail for like any musical projects that I've made, I've always been the one who's been drawing them as of late. I
Oh,
figured why
neat.
not since I figured why not since that was one of the few things I was taught to do like during my college years.
Absolutely. If you have the skill, you might as well try to use it for something, right?
Unfortunately, it does lead me to feeling like overwhelmed after like a couple hours. I'm not gonna lie. Since it's only me who's doing everything,
No,
I tend to overwhelm myself.
I feel the exact same way. Like I primarily on my channel, I like to make these massive deep dives into music history, but because it's just me involved, I'm not earning enough money on Patreon yet to start outsourcing my jobs to other people. Because it's just me, I'm the one who has to do like all the research, all the script writing, all the video editing, most of the voiceover. I try to get like other people involved in like cameo like quote reads or whatever, but it is a fucking process and a half, and like sometimes after a few hours of editing I'm just like, whew, boy, I need to sit down for a few hours and just like smoke a bunch of catnip, like
I
I
feel
don't
you
know.
on that.
Maybe that speaks to my own sort of work habits, my own sort of my own sort of self-motivation, but I don't know. It's a very tricky thing to bounce. Of course, when, like I said, I'm also bouncing my IRL job and my other music projects and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It does get overwhelming when you're like your own everything, especially if you're like an independent content creator, but like as
Yeah,
things
yeah.
stand, I wouldn't trade this for anything.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Like, I theoretically speaking, if I were able to join a VTuber agency that like gave me as much freedom as I needed to do what I want, just with the additional help, additional resources and support networks there, that would be fine by me. But I don't know. I've looked at I've been looking at VTuber agencies with kind of a side eye these past few months, as more and more of them seem to be their own sort of content brands that VTubers are onboarding themselves for. And all the more power to agency VTubers if they want to be part of those families and do those sorts of I don't know, major VTuber activities. But for me, I don't know. I like charting my own path. Like,
Yeah, I'm
also,
with you on that. I feel like I have much more freedom in a sense. Like I don't feel tied
yeah,
by like contracts or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but for me,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just I don't want to take chances half the time with
absolutely.
certain contracts.
Yeah, I definitely respect that. Also, welcome, Corey Haskus. Glad to see you in stream. Welcome, welcome. What was I gonna say? Uh, sort of on the flip side of that, does drawing influence your music? Does music help you to draw? Do you like listening to tunes while you're sketching?
Absolutely. A lot of the I listen to like a lot of like more chill step, much more how would I call this? Like I forgot what genre it is, but it's a fusion of like Oriental and like other like
Oh, neat.
EDM like other EDM subgenres. I can't
Yeah,
really name
yeah.
any artists off the top of my head, but some of the stuff that they make, it just kind of it also does kind of help me relax, keep my hand loose and all that. Just keeps my nerves on the down low.
Yeah, chill lo-fi music to draw to, and what have you. Uh, I didn't write this down, but like, since you do drawing streams, I guess does that sort of dovetail neatly like your habits of listening to music on stream with that?
Unfortunately, the music playlist that I usually use whenever I actually do art streams, that has gotten me like muted several times on Twitch. So I had to like find
Uh,
other sources. But then I just remembered, wait, I make my own stuff. I could just like put that on
hey,
stream
there
and
you go. Yeah,
no one could give me like crap for it. So I was like, oh, why didn't I just do
that
this like 3 years ago?
That is absolutely the power move. I'll tell you, I'm friends with this other YouTuber, Noriboshi Ariel. I don't know how familiar you are with her, but she's another like VTuber music producer that I've been friends with quite a few years now. Very sort of idol music, metal inspired, and she's been doing that herself, where she's had her own original song like instrumentals in the background whenever she's doing her own sort of art or chill hangout streams, and I've always appreciated that. I wish I I wish I had the talent to just make my own BGM.
It even as someone who's been doing it for 10 years almost, I can't really say that I have like something that is like my style per se.
Yeah,
I still feel like I draw a little bit too much influence from like other artists just to like get a feel for like how I should play on a
yeah.
track, and it would probably help me if I actually like planned everything ahead of time, but I never do. It just the whole planning part just kind of like overwhelms me too easily.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to get ahead of yourself when you're sitting down and you have this whole fucking idea of what you want to accomplish in your head, and I don't know. It's part of the reason why I've been dragging my feet with editing this most recent video I'm on, because the fucking script is so long and I'm trying to merge all these different ideas together at once, and it's a whole process, but eventually something's gonna come out.
That's how I feel every single day. Like I say this as someone who has like backlog after backlog of unfinished stuff that I haven't even like gone around to finishing it either. I always tell myself I will get this finished. During the summer. It's been 2 years since I said that. I feel
The
so
eternal
bad.
summer. uh oh, hey, uh it's kind of going on from that leads naturally into I guess talking about some of your other streams. You've done like some karaoke streams along with music production streams in the past. Do you have any sort of preference between the two?
I want to say probably karaoke, if only
Oh,
because
yeah.
I feel like I'm too quiet when I like do music production streams. Because
Yeah,
I think a
yeah.
lot of my viewers can, a lot of my people from my community can attest for me for this. I get too quiet when I'm locked in and like just try to focus on like finishing like a piece of music,
Yeah. No, that can
and
be
I
really
feel bad.
hard.
Yeah, and I feel bad because it's like I should be saying something here at this point. I really feel like I'm just driving away like other potential viewers from like stream because I'm not like saying anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to one thing to be playing a game and maintaining a conversation with your chat at the same time, but it's another thing to be like completely detail oriented in the weeds of a project and have to get that done.
Yeah, which is strange because like whenever I do art streams, for example, I can yap for hours and like no one would mind. But it's like when it comes to music, I tend to forget that I'm streaming. I actually almost forgot that I was one time I was like producing like another EDM track. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I looked to my right on my screen on OBS is open. I'm like, oh wait, I'm streaming. I should say something.
Oh my gosh. Excuse me. But you do a lot of karaoke yourself, is it?
I
Like-
mostly reserve karaoke streams for like special events. Like
I
sometimes I will
see.
do them for like Valentine's Day. I know a lot of people are a fan. I know a lot of people have loved that. I've also only ever
Yeah.
reserved them for like my Vtuber anniversary streams, which I've been doing for like 3. I've done 3 of them now, I think.
Yeah. I've been meaning to do my own karaoke's. I'm just too lazy to figure out, how to go in OBS and reduce all that latency between stream and the instrumental tracks. I know
If it makes you feel any better, I haven't figured that out either.
Oh well. But oh. We know it's just your passion, says Supergirl. Have you how long have you been a singer for? Like, is that something you've taken lessons for too, or is that just something you like to do casually?
They were lessons that I took alongside guitar and bass lessons during high school, and from there, even after the lessons ended, I kind of tried my best to just like sing whatever came to mind, even when I had like some downtime.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I've
no,
never
it's,
sung professionally in a setting like I've never sung in a professional setting for like 11 years now though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I was a choir student back in the day, back in like high school, college. I used to do a lot of singing there, and there was one semester in college where I took like, I don't know if it was 1 or 2. I think it was like 1 year in college, right? Where I took vocal lessons and tried to improve as a tenor and all that. But at the end of the day, I decided to commit myself to drums. And like, I still sing every now and then. And like I said, I do like vocal covers every now and then. But I'm not like a world trained like opera singer or whatever. I think what doing everything that I did back then did for me was give me a sense of pitch, which I'm eternally grateful for. I like feeling like I'm on key whenever I sing something, but otherwise, I tend far more to be, a rhythmic sort of guy. Though I have recently been incorporating a lot more vocal harmonies whenever I play the drums, so there's that.
I was about to say I have listened to like at least a cover or two of yours. You sing really good actually.
Oh, thank you.
Some of the notes
I appreciate
some of the
that.
notes I can't hit.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Back in the day, I used to be obsessed with, well, back when I was getting into like rock music for the first time, I was obsessed with, those bands like Led Zeppelin or AC/DC or a bunch of other like glam metal bands where they had like the front man who was all like, yeah! Or I don't know if you can hear that.
I mean, it kind of peaked, but I get the energy you're going for.
Yeah, the high pitched, shrieky sort of boys and all that, and I like to think that singing along to those, like back when I was like 11, 12, 13, like just on the cusp of puberty, like that prevented me from going full like baritone or bass.
If it wasn't for puberty, I'd probably hit it.
Oh my god. If it wasn't for puberty, I'd be a tenor alto. But yeah, no, I enjoy singing every now and then. I wish I had more of an excuse to do so, but that's just on me now to try and find a way to do my own karaoke streams. Honestly, at this stage, I feel like I'd be a bit more interested in doing like rhythm game streams, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how into like the Guitar Hero Rock Band games you are, but I've recently been getting like much more into those.
Oh, I've loved Guitar Hero during high school when it was at its peak. I absolutely
Yeah.
loved Guitar Hero, Rock Band,
No,
all that stuff.
no, like same. I used to be like very big into like Guitar Hero Rock Band and like late 2000. That's what got me into playing the drums. Actually, is like Rock Band like influenced me to sort of be a lot more rhythmically minded in that way. But it's only recently, like in the past few months, I went and bought like this Fortnite Festival guitar online, and I've been using that to play this custom game made by fans called Yarg, which is essentially just a Rock Band clone. It's been a lot of fun. I've been considering for a while now trying to do some streams of that on my channel just casually, but it's I've got so many other projects right now, it's hard to really determine when I want to get that done.
I get that. And to be honest, I would also be doing a lot more karaoke streams myself if copyright wasn't such like a major issue. But then again, I understand why.
Yeah. No, it's copyright law, especially in the digital age, in America, is just completely fucking fucked. I mean, I don't know how it is with Canada, but like I would assume like there's a lot of stuff on the books that isn't quite reflective of the digital realities that we live in, right? It's like it's so much easier nowadays to like share media, to share music, images, all sorts of things around the web. And, not that that excuses, people from violating copyrights in the first place and, taking away money that could otherwise go directly to not publisher, but like the author or, people that, make the work or what have you. But I feel like there's a way where we could very easily, well, I say easily, but political realities would probably shit all over that. But we could very easily, take a look at, existing copyright laws now and reform them in such a way that, it allows, culture to be a bit more flexible while still affording the protections to, people who create original works. I don't know. Maybe that's just overly optimistic of me. I used to study a lot of archival science back in the day, but I don't know. That is the future that I'm always hoping for.
Fingers crossed. You guys can't probably see this now, but I'm actually keeping my fingers crossed for that.
I'll definitely listen to your music, Resi. I hope Resi is okay. Thank you, Supergirl. I don't really have too much music to my own name on my channel. I mean, I have been thinking for like a long time. I've wanted to, make my own original songs or, actually put stuff up on streaming at the very least. Like I've had a Kiss cover, that I've wanted to release the full version of for a while now, but I don't know. I just like there's a lot of pressure there with, how would I figure out the logistics of making my own music? Like, would I have to pay like my own friends to make that? Like, it's a lot. Which is kind of why I'm curious to know. I said kind of before I introduced you, you're like the first VTuber I've ever come across with a dedicated Bandcamp. How did you decide to open up a Bandcamp? Like, how was it like managing that?
If I'm gonna be completely honest here, I actually haven't been managing my own Bandcamp very well. I'm not gonna lie. I may have neglected it. It was only at least like several months ago that I just remembered that I had it.
Honestly, that's fair. I still have a YouTube channel and I haven't gone through my fucking playlists in ages.
But the whole reason why I opened up a Bandcamp in the first place, it was more or less just like plan out things ahead in the future. Like, I don't know, maybe if I ever pop off in the whole music thing, people will probably want like a an avenue or like at least an option to like where to like purchase my music and whatnot.
Yeah. And I have always loved the sort of model that Bandcamp has, where, not only are they able to, like, let you upload your music for, like, essentially free streaming or whatever, but, like, you're able to set your own prices so that, people who want to support you can, or they can pay what they want in that whole model, which is also dope. I love, like, giving the artists flexibility to, like, determine how they want to distribute their music. I think that's really neat.
I think it's also very generous of Bandcamp. The fact that the every so often, I think at least once a month, this happens like once every Friday or so. They waive their little like they waive their cut of like the fee of all your of all the purchases that people have made on Bandcamp, from what I understood.
Yeah, that's right. I think I remember that. Although Bandcamp has recently been having a bit more like corporate troubles though behind the scenes. I thought I've heard things from like Anthony Fantana to that degree, but I could be misremembering.
Fantano, that I haven't even watched his latest music review yet.
Honestly, I don't know. Like I watch Anthony Fantano like more so on his Fantano channel than the Needle Drop. Actually, like I don't know. I like hearing his music thoughts more off the cuff like that than the written reviews.
It feels much more personal that way, as opposed to just like reading someone's review online.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, kind of going off that, I'm wondering if you've considered like uploading your music to like Spotify or other major streaming platforms, or do you have any trepidation with that?
I'm a little weary with how Spotify has treated like several artists in the past when it comes to like
Right.
independent artists, which is kind of what is holding me back from like even uploading my music to Spotify in the very least. I don't and that and I don't really understand the process as to how I'm able to do
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
as
know,
much as I would like to, I shouldn't.
I feel that. I've had like I've like both of the bands that I've been involved with, we've used like I don't know if it's CD Baby specifically, or one of those services where you pay a fee to like a company and they put your music out on streaming and on YouTube. I've done that before and it's been fine enough. Really, I don't know. Whenever I put music up on those like streaming platforms, I never expect to make anything substantial from it. I just do it more so because, it's another space where people can go to listen to music, and a lot of people are already on there, right? So might
Yeah.
as well try to meet people where they're at.
It's also precisely the reason why I don't want to like take that risk. I don't feel like it feels like it's too much of an investment for very little payoff,
Yeah.
and that's happened to me before. And I just figured I don't think I should be doing that right now.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you want to build up your audience first, so you have somewhere to direct them towards later. Let's see. Um, so, geez. You mind real quick? I think I might go and use the bathroom real quick. We'll pick up afterwards. I've kind of been speeding through these questions here.
No worries, it's all good.
Okay. So let me put up. Not the water. I'm not getting water. I'm going to the bathroom, and I will be right back. Chat and chat in digital. To say hi. Be back.
I'll do my best to keep Chad entertained. Also, Corey. Oh wait, I just realized who you are. You're from my Twitch channel, aren't you, Corey? I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge you guys, any of you guys earlier. Yeah, I hope everyone is having a good night overall, though. Cold in the Shade, I'm not sure if you're still there, but I actually think it's kind of cool that you have that your dad had a drum where you can like see through it. I never actually ever get to see anything like that. Not even at like a at a Long and McQuaid. I've never seen one like in there before. They like the staff keep telling me that they exist, but for the life of me, I could never see one. I even asked, can I see one? Like, it's not in stock right now. I'm like, okay, well then why are you telling me that they exist if you're not gonna prove it to me? I don't want to have to like Google this thing while I'm in your store, you know? Also, how you doing, Prisma? It's good to see you. It was his dad's drums. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Do you remember what brand it is specifically, and for like how long you've had it? Doing good. Hope yours is good too. Um, it's been all right. I'm not gonna lie. My nerves feel less shot now. getting to getting to talk to and understand Resi has been a treat so far. Probably from the 70s or 80s if I had to guess. Huh. Neat. Very tired and likely sleeping soon. Well, I hope you get some good sleep afterwards, Prisma. Thank you for being here. And for checking out Resi.
Okay, I have returned. Let me...
Welcome back. Everyone in chat has been behaving. Not to worry.
Very cool, very cool. I'm happy to hear that. Let me see. So, I guess we can kind of get into a bit more of your VTuber-ness. So, like, I think you kind of said a bit about it, but what was the inspiration behind your VTuber? Was it just strictly, you know, trying to be like the gorillas, or?
I want to say, I would lay it out like plain and simple. It was mostly out of spite. The reason for that is because back in 2016, this is a very complicated story, but
Right.
back in 2016, there was a gentleman that I had just met for first time at a job that I used to work at. And for some reason, the topic of my ethnicity somehow came up for whatever reason. The guy was like wondering, what in the world are you doing at a dusty little warehouse like this? I'm like, and at some point I brought up that my profession technically is in animation, right?
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, this guy just had like the most disappointed and like the most aggravated face. He was like, "Okay, but you Asian people are like so super smart. Why are you not like a chemist or a doctor?"
Oh my fucking god.
I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. And to this day, younger me, for whatever reason, decided to repress that. And as the years went by, after I had like left that job previously, I was like, I'm gonna show this guy what's up. I took that, and the whole shtick of me being like the AI who takes the intelligence out of artificial intelligence actually stems from that. The whole idea of like breaking like stereotypical expectations from like just everything in life, essentially.
I dig that. And how to say, I has your animation skills helped you to I mean, you probably drew your model. Have you tried like making your own sort of live 2D rigs?
I've been thinking about doing that for some time. The only problem is live 2D, as last I check, is expensive to own a license of. Even with the 45 days, I don't feel like that is enough for me to like learn the ins and outs of live
fair.
2D.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that's I'm sure for like That's the sort of thing, at least. I'm not sure what free softwares are out there or free free things that you can do for that, but at least for the people who are all about rigging and doing commissions, I'm sure that pays for itself. But for the rest of us, yeah. No, let's see.
Oh, I should probably also specify my profession is technically in the 3D, not 2D animation.
Oh,
which I was
okay.
kind of disappointed in because I thought that we would at least learn the fundamentals of learning 2D. But no, they just kind of threw us straight into production for things like the latest movies and whatnot.
Oh, hey,
didn't really start with the basics.
I'm sure that you could use that somehow and go to Blender or even Vroid. I'm sure you could find some way to whip yourself up a pretty spiffy looking VTuber model there.
I probably could have. It's just that unfortunately, Blender and Autodesk Maya, their interface and the way they operate are just so radically different that I've actually had to take a year or two just to familiarize myself with Blender a little bit more.
Makes sense, yeah. you do the donut tutorial and all that?
Yeah, I had to look up various tutorials just to achieve how do I achieve this effect? How do I model things like this? How do I do stuff like that?
Yeah, Blender's one of those bucket list programs that I want to learn about someday, learn how to get into. I'm not a 3D animator or animator by any sort of means. I mean, the most animation that I'm capable of doing is keyframe animation in my dinky little DaVinci Resolve iteration, but I have a lot of respect for it, especially for independent animators. The whole fact that whatchamacallit, what was it? That Flow movie that just won the Oscars. It was made entirely in Blender. That sort of shit is so cool to me.
I was actually surprised to know that it was all done in Blender. I was like, really? Wow, Autodesk is really not winning any favors among studios now, it seems.
The animation industry is evolving. Hopefully it's not just gonna be Disney and Pixar and dominating it all with kids films. Hopefully it can be something a bit more mature and nuanced.
I just kind of wish people would drop the stigma of animation being solely for kids. It kind of it feels like they're spitting in my degree. I'm gonna be honest.
Really is, yeah. What was it? So, what do you hope will, I always deign to use a loaded term like this, but it's the only one that really thinks. But what do you hope to do as a musician in the community? What do you hope is your legacy in the VTuber community as a musician?
I'm gonna be real here. I don't think I ever thought this through. To be honest, I didn't even think I'd get this far.
That's fine. I say, the whole notion of a legacy is very loaded, especially for small VTubers like us. But is there anything that you're working towards?
I can't say about working and I can't say I'm working towards anything myself per se, but
right, yeah.
During my time as a VTuber, I'm kind of hoping that the next generation of content creators who are after me, I hope they look at some of the more the more positive, the more honest people within the scene, the VTuber scene. I hope they look at them and be this should be the way how people should build themselves up as content creators, rather than focusing on all the horrible dramatic stuff that happens behind the scenes after that in order to get their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
I hope people look at stuff like that and be maybe this is the better way to put yourself out there on the internet.
Well, the only way that's happening is if there's money in it.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry to put it as bluntly cynically as that, but like the reason why you've got so many fucking grifters in this space is because negativity sells on the algorithm, and that is just the most tragic part of the artistic landscape we find ourselves in nowadays, is having to fight with this soulless fucking algorithm that relies more on emotion and drama and clicks than something substantial, like connecting with your fellow human being, you know?
Yeah, I understand that whole thing completely. I actually kept that thought in the back of my mind when I first started, like when I first debuted back in July 2021. I was like, I'm probably not gonna get any following out of this, like just based on the way I operate, because I don't like in as much as it is entertaining to like watch dumpster fires go off. I just look at this
Yeah.
and I think, am I really gonna be happy like partaking in said dumpster fires? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, the VTuber community, if ever there was really a community, it's it's no longer really a thing. Really, it's just a bunch of in-jokes and well, not in-joke, how to say. It feels like there's a lot more of a, it's a je ne sais quoi, how to say. Like, it's like, I don't know. We're living in an age where people prostrate themselves, willingly sort of degrade themselves on camera for an easy buck, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I don't remember which VTuber said it best, because I saw this on Twitter like maybe 2 or so years ago. The whole VTuber scene feels like high school all over again. You have like people like you have like people hanging out with their specific cliques, and then like the occasional like drama pops out here and there.
Yeah.
And I just sit through the, and I mean I can't really like throw judgment or shade at anybody like that, because I am guilty of like plugging in my 2 cents when it doesn't even belong there.
Yeah, no, I like to really, the only use I have for Twitter these days is just like sniping like shitters in the fucking VTuber community, essentially just going like, hey, fuck you, buddy.
Well, that's why I like speaking my mind about like certain individuals who are just like mucking up the VTuber space. I don't.
Yeah.
Is it a shot in the dark, and like will it be drowned out by the noise of like everyone just like hyping up this dumpster fire? Probably, but at least that way there will probably be some people out there who are gonna look at probably what I said and think, oh, okay, maybe I'm not the only one who thinks this is a terrible thing, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, for me personally, like I think if there were any like underlying goals that I had, right? I mean, other than trying to become like a well-known, respected, like video essayist, music historian sort of person. Other than that, I just want to form a community of like-minded people who are chill and respectful, and just need somewhere to really nerd out about music. That's
I feel that.
If I can earn a living off of it, if I can even like even if it's just like some sort of supplementary income, like that'd be fucking great.
That'd be the dream, to be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly though, it's also the reason why I like the whole like I just want to do like stupid funny stuff with like a bunch of other people, you know? Because this stuff is going to be permanent and be there on the internet. If we're going to do that, we might as well just like have fun with it instead of just like beefing over some really dumb stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So do you have super cute. Thank you, Supergirl. I appreciate it. I'd like to think that in my doing this for this particular series, I think I've been running almost a fucking year now. Not quite in this form. I started off like I was kind of warming up for like a charity stream, and I did like a talk stream for this like one time, and it was just like a solo thing where I was talking with my chat. But then I decided, you know what, I I want to bring in, I want to bring in more friends and VTuber friends and like get their opinions on music, and it just sort of snowballed from there. So following up from that other question, do you have any like dream collabs?
Do they have like collabs in with like other people that I might look up to, or like
Yeah,
is it in
yeah.
terms
I
of
mean,
streaming, or
like
like a project of some sort?
could be either or. Get somebody to feature on one of your songs. Get one of them. Get somebody to come on stream. I don't know.
In that case, I think if it's like if it doesn't have anything to do with if it doesn't have anything to do with streaming, there is one composer that I would love to like work on a track with someday. It might be a far shot in the dark, but I would love to like work with her at least once. That person being Laura Shigihara, who some people might know did the music for Plants vs. Zombies, and I think she's also working on a track with Toby Fox for like Deltarune, when that eventually comes out.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Toby Fox is a fucking stellar composer. I think I've heard some of Shigihara's tracks before. I mean, I've watched a few I've watched a few Plants vs. Zombies streams in my time. I was never on that Plants vs. Zombies hype train back in the day, sadly.
It took me a while to get into it. I think I got into it like at least within like my first year of high school, or not high school. Excuse me, college rather. The best part about that though is that she actually like came into like one of my streams once.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, like I had just beaten one of her I had just beaten her game that she had put up some time ago called Rockawin, and I was like literally like on the verge of not even on the verge of tears. I just flat out cried at the end of that game. It was kind of awkward that she kind of came in and it was like, "Oh my god, thank you for playing my game." I'm like, "Oh, hi." And internally I was like, "Oh crap, one of the people I look up to for like music compositions here. What do I do? What do I say?"
It's it's okay. That's the point of the game. Is to get you in that emotional state. I'm sure she was honored.
I could not listen to like a single track of that game without crying, because the way that she like writes out her music, there is emotion in either. There is like a lot of emotion into it, no matter what like the circumstances are.
Yeah. Kind of going off of that, I'm wondering, obviously you play a lot of games on stream as a variety streamer. Do you have any particular favorite game OST? It's okay if you pick multiple. I know it's a very broad question.
There is perhaps maybe only one gaming OST that or soundtrack that has stuck with me ever since high school, and that would be the Mad World soundtrack. For those of you who don't know who that game is, it is you know which one I'm talking about then, right?
It's Platinum, right?
Yep, by Platinum Games, the exact one.
Yeah.
That soundtrack broadened like my horizon when it came to music, because when I first started out like in high school, like learning music and whatnot, and this was mostly because of my parents, really.
Right.
Younger me thought that anything that was not produced by like a drum kit or like even a guitar doesn't really count as music in my books. And then I was right there too. And then I listened to that game's soundtrack and I was like, wait, this stuff's actually cool. What have I been missing out on my whole life?
Hell yeah. That's that's definitely I definitely feel like electronic, it's able to easily Trojan horse into you into your music taste via video game soundtracks. I used to be a lot more I used to be myself be a lot more negative towards pop and electronic music and all that, but I have friends to thank and video game composers to thank for sort of getting over that. else? Oh, I guess does a game's OST ever influence you to prioritize it in like your schedule at all? Like have you ever decided to play a game on stream because you know it's got a bumping soundtrack?
Hmm. Nothing came to mind when you asked that. Actually, no, I lied. There is perhaps maybe one game that there was one game soundtrack that I was particularly interested in, like having to hear for myself for the first time, and that game is Soundfall,
Interesting.
which was like a dungeon crawler mixed with like it's like a rhythm game mixed with like dungeon crawler elements. And
oh wow.
yeah, it is a lot of fun. I didn't really expect it. Plus, the soundtrack just that came with it is just so on beat.
What's the name again?
So on brand for me too. Soundfall.
Soundfall. Interesting. I'll have to look that up later.
I haven't streamed it in a hot minute, but I do want to come back to that game eventually. I want to hear more what the soundtrack has to offer.
I love a nice sound-based puzzle game, or just like a just just a very sound-based game in general. I mean, I'm a big rhythm game guy. I've played. Have you ever played Crypt of the Necrodancer before? Fucking phenomenal game. Oh wait, no, you.
I have actually.
That's right.
Yes.
One of your that's right. One of the people you listed on your like favorite artists, he did like an alternate soundtrack for Crypt. That's why I have it in the fucking thumbnail.
I actually have played Crypt of the Necrodancer, and I absolutely love that game too. I never got around to finishing it. Again, that's just another game I'll have to come back to streaming later.
It is a very fun time. I've cleared the main story, I think, of that once, but I think there was the main story, and then whatever character plays the lute, I think I cleared hers. But I don't know. There's so much to dig into there, and so much skill involved. And I'm just a humble video essayist that is increasingly having less and less time to game.
Me personally, I just feel bad that there's like all these really cool like games that have like such like stellar soundtrack, and I haven't like sat down and at least tried one of them.
Yeah, no, especially recently with like all these ultra high HD graphic games out there. Like, I wish I could just sit down and play like fucking Final Fantasy like 7 remake or Rebirth, because like those games have gorgeous scores, gorgeous graphics, even some stellar gameplay here and there. But I've only been able to witness that vicariously through other people's streams.
I can vouch for that. My best friend Luna Lore is a huge Final Fantasy VII fan, and she would always tell me how like the music just really moved her.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I mean, in the original Final Fantasy VII, even like what was it? I played that for the first time like right around when like the pandemic first hit and like everything was in lockdown. I played through that game, the original PS1, well, not the original. It was technically on a Switch emulator, but that game, its soundtrack it is astonishingly capable of ruining you if you know like the context behind where each track is played, right? Like fucking Aerith's theme, Tifa's theme, they can bring me to tears. And I wasn't even well, technically I was a 90s baby, but I was a 90s baby that did not grow up with Final Fantasy VII.
Neither did I. Our household was mostly a Nintendo household. But when I heard the game's soundtrack for the first time, I was like, "What am I missing out on, dude?"
No, Nobuo Uematsu, he's a fucking god. Like, I'm not that much into other Final Fantasy games apart from 7. Like, I think I tried getting into 10 once, but I didn't vibe with its combat system. But the scores in those games are always such a fucking treat to listen to. And I think like the especially cool thing about Nobuo Uematsu, he took a lot of influence, not just from classical music, but like from a lot of like the rock of his day. Like he listened to a lot of Hendrix, he listened to a lot of progressive rock and incorporated that into the soundtracks. And like to this day, the result is just like some of the coolest, most I don't know. Some of the most iconic RPG music out there.
Yeah, I mean most video game like franchises, you wouldn't think to like you would know like certain music, like certain musical compositions, you know for a fact that's what have cemented like certain game franchises out there.
Yeah.
Like you can't even think of like Sonic the Hedgehog, for example, without hearing like Green Hill Zone,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
example.
absolutely. And like it's especially cool too because if you really sit back and dig into those like ubiquitous tunes, you can pull out all these sorts of like influences that these composers were stewing. And like Koji Kondo, he was influenced by Japanese jazz fusion, like Cassiopeia and T Square. Well, Cassiopeia I mentioned earlier, but T Square too. Like those bands, like if we didn't have them, we would not have like fucking Mario World 1-1, It's crazy the fucking butterfly effect that a culture we're not even familiar with can have.
Which is precisely the reason why it irks me when I hear people say like, video game OSTs aren't music, and my my inner voice just screams like, how freaking dare you? That is
Yeah.
that is a legacy that is a legacy in of itself.
I will say, I definitely love listening to video game soundtracks on my own time, but there is definitely a sort of person on the internet who who only really listens to video game soundtracks, and like that's the sort of person I don't like being compared to.
No, I get that entirely.
Yeah, yeah. What was I gonna ask next? I think we did touch upon this a bit earlier, but do you enjoy playing rhythm games much yourself?
I do actually. I wish I had better hand-eye coordination, but yes, I do.
Mm.
As I mentioned
When-
earlier, some of my favorites were like, Guitar Hero, Rock Band.
right, right.
Um, I even tried Muse Dash, even though I was terrible at it.
Mustache looks fun. It's cheap as shit on Steam these days, but I don't know. I don't know if I vibe necessarily with like all the more like Eastern rhythm games out there with like all the hyperactive music and the soundtrack and like obviously I respect people who who enjoy all of it and play those games and what have you, but I don't know. There's something about the tactile feel of like Western rhythm games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and picking up the guitar or drum controller and trying to emulate, being a real musician. That's just always like really appealed to me more than like any of those like games made in the East.
Because it feels familiar, right? Like the whole control setup and everything.
Yeah, I guess so. There's that, but like, I mean, also just like the fact that all these Western rhythm games, we tend to license out a bunch of Western songs and whatnot. It's familiar that way too. Though I don't know. I definitely would love to at some point explore a lot more. I've heard there's this one game that Asai was playing on stream the other day that looked very similar to like a Guitar Hero game, but it was like played entirely on keyboard. I might check that out at some point.
I need to look this up eventually too. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. Fuck, what was it? I'll have to. Sign. Come on, man. Huh. I guess he doesn't have the stream up. Whatever. Moving on. Yeah, so have you gone to very many concerts in the past?
I think the only concert I can vaguely even recall was going to a Headley concert, and that was like for free once.
Oh, okay.
And that was like back in 2012, I think. Oh god, it's been too long since I remembered.
Headley, is that the name of the artist you said?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm familiar with them.
It's been ages since it's been ages since I even like listened to them.
Yeah.
Though I suspect that the concert they were holding was for free, because there was a street that I used to live on they had the exact same name, and I think they just did that specifically for that reason.
Oh, that's fun. Do you have any fun memories from that concert?
I remember standing on top of like at the very top of a slide at a playground, just to like get a good picture of like the band going on.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
It's like the venue was like a public park, and unfortunately it was getting overcrowded, so
yeah. Jesus, there was a long time ago, and unfortunately it wasn't a free concert, but there was, I think Mac DeMarco was playing a show in a nearby park, and I could have gone to that, but I don't know. With me, when it comes to like buying tickets for artists, like usually when it's pretty high price, I'm like, okay, we'll see where we're at a few months from now. Maybe I can get. And when eventually when I get around to it, it's either sold out or I just completely forget and forget to make any transaction.
It always breaks my heart when I learn that one of my favorite artists are like performing at like, say, Toronto, for example.
Oh my god!
And it's like, oh, I can't get there either because the tickets have sold out or because I don't have the budget for that right now.
Yeah, or if it's happening like right in the middle of the fucking week, like that's the worst. Like I've had a few different like touring artists come through New York City in the past on days where I'm. Because I like to go to bed early to get up at like 7 and go into week, and that's not ideal at all for fucking going to see a gig in the middle of the week. It's just really annoying.
And I feel that. Although I will also be very disappointed forever knowing that that Daft Punk broke up in like 2018 on my birthday. I wake up one morning and I was like, it's my birthday, I should see what's going on. And then I see the news that Daft Punk broke up. I was like, oh, happy birthday to me, I guess.
That's unfortunate. Especially too, because like they hadn't fucking toured in ages. Even like the last tour wasn't the fucking Alive thing.
I think so, yeah. And I'm
like,
still kicking myself that I haven't gone.
Man, yeah, they had very limited opportunities. I'm sure anybody who went to go see Daft Punk back in the day must cherish that as a special memory.
If there's anybody in Rezi's chat who have actually seen Daft Punk live, you're lucky, and I'm very jealous of you that you did.
And if you have, and if you're watching the VOD, please comment below so I can feel jealous of you. Yeah, no, we're just about done here in terms of questions I've prepared here. Usually I like to close these out by asking my guest, because it's been a very chaotic couple of months recently in the world, in the Western Hemisphere, in the Americas, and something I've been wondering of my guests is, what sort of music do you like to turn to in times of stress? Are you like a catharsis guy? Are you an in your feelings guy? Like what sort of music do you like listening to when you're sad?
I wish I could say that I had a specific genre of music that I like to listen to if I feel like somewhat somber or depressed, but no, I just typically hit up like my I used to do this. I used to have like a 5th generation iPod Nano, right? And I had a specific playlist that had like I had a playlist on that thing that had like a lot of those more sadder, much more depressing songs that I would listen to if I'm not really feeling that great. Didn't do well for my mental health, but it did help me get through it.
Yeah. No, it's kind of a double-edged sword being in your feelings sometimes, right? Because I remember ages ago, like back in fucking middle school, I was sort of this nerdy-ass boy who didn't really know how to talk to girls, so there was this one particular period in my life where I was pining over this one particular girl, and I found a lot of solace in fucking Eric Clapton's song Layla, which, if you know that song at all, it's about, Eric Clapton pining over George Harrison's fucking wife at the time, but I don't know. I found a lot of solace in the in that sort of pining, and I don't know if it necessarily helped as much as it did reinforce what I was feeling, but it is an interesting experience to listen to music and I guess know that you're not necessarily alone in your experiences.
Yeah. Oh God, that just reminded me of like one particular song by Velvet Revolver.
Oh
It
yeah.
was called Alien, and I would always listen to that whenever I felt like I was just like still like trying to struggle getting over like a pretty bad breakup with my ex,
Yeah.
and that would always like help me like literally part of the lyrics is "and I'm moving on." I'm like I should probably do that too.
Yeah. You need sometimes a reminder like that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got planned. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about here?
Actually, wait, yeah, there is one thing I did want to ask. You mentioned prior that you said you were in like two separate bands. Do you mind if you tell me what they were so I can like look them up in my own time? I'm actually rather
Uh,
fascinated to know.
sure, I can DM you on Discord or whatever. I just I'd prefer to keep my IRL VTuber my IRL
Oh,
self and
right.
my VTuber self separate if I can.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting the number one rule about VTubing. Oops.
No, it's
My
all good. It's all good, man. I'm happy to share. Definitely, I'll forward those to you after the stream. Um, but yeah, no. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming on. It was great having you, Digital Blues. Where can people best find you?
Well, people can mostly find me on like Blue Sky nowadays because I do not trust Twitter anymore that I had to for the 11 years that I've been there.
Fair,
um,
fair.
Also have a YouTube channel. I also have like if anyone wants to, they may follow me on Twitch if they want to like watch this digital doofus screw up in like the latest video games, but that's up to them entirely.
Right on, right on. Well, I've linked your Blue Sky at least, so if anybody wants to go looking for those links, they can check it out there. But yeah, no. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on stream, man.
Oh, thank you. It was an honor to being interviewed for like the first time ever. I never really thought I'd get that far.
Hey, I mean, it's fun to have these sorts of conversations in the VTuber community. I like to use my channel as a platform for any indie musicians, any indie VTuber musicians who, want to want to validate their imposter syndrome or get rid of their imposter syndrome.
Let me know when there's a cure for that because I would love that right now.
God, retweet. But yeah, thank you everybody else for coming in and joining me today. We had quite a few people from Digital Blues community coming in. Thank you all for joining me there. And for everybody else in my community, hopefully I will have more updates soon on the second Glam Metal Deep Dive. I've been doing, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I've been doing a bunch of work on that. So hopefully I'll be able to update y'all soon. But otherwise, let me see now. I'm probably gonna redirect you guys to friends stream if there's anybody up that fits that bill. Oh shit, Kendra's
Forgetting we
up.
can do that on YouTube now.
Yeah, it's neat. Kendra's here. Well, we're going to raid my fairy friend Kendra Bratton. So if y'all are looking to join me with that, feel free to join me in typing in cat raid in her stream. But otherwise, if you just want to go off and do your own thing, that is all well and good. I hope you've had a good night regardless. I'm probably, after raiding into that stream, I'm probably gonna go get myself some grub because I am fucking starving right now. Oh my gosh.
Oh, good lord! I hope you didn't skip out on dinner because of this. I would actually feel
No,
really
no,
bad.
it's all good. I usually don't eat on Sundays until after I do these streams anyway, so it's fine.
That's understandable.
But yeah, no, thank you all so much for tuning in. I've been your host, ResiRNG, as always, and I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everybody.